Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Next article that I have here to talk about is an article having the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov as the main guy. I like the Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov because he's logical, he's diplomatic, he's intelligent, he's well read. Unfortunately, he is on the other side of the equation. I wish that we could have people like Lavrov and get Blinken to their side and get one like Lavrov on our side. But unfortunately, what I'm about to talk about in this article that is about him is that saying that, I'm just paraphrasing, be wary of people who want your own good. That means they want to help you, or they want to support you. You always think, okay, what's your interest? What's at stake here? What do you have to gain out of this? That's happened obviously in politics and in diplomacy. We have here Sergei Lavrov, who obviously he's a Russian. He works and he feels for his people. So you have to understand that he might be subjective in his statements. Like any other, leader of a country, he should be working for that country and defend that country verbally and physically and ideologically. This article comes from Ukrainska Pravda from today, Sunday, 24th of July, and I'm quoting the title here: Lavrov plans to save Ukrainians from the Zelensky regime. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said that the occupying country will help the people of Ukraine to get rid of the anti-people and anti-historical regime. So he claims here that Russia will help Ukraine to get rid of the anti-people and anti-historical regime. The source is obviously Lavrov, who said this at a meeting with the ambassadors of the member countries of the League of Arab States in Cairo. And I'm quoting Lavrov: "We feel sorry for the Ukrainian people who deserve far better. We feel sorry for Ukrainian history, which is collapsing before our eyes, and we feel sorry for those who have succumbed to the state propaganda of the Kiev regime, which aims to make Ukraine an eternal enemy of Russia. The Russian and Ukrainian people will continue to live together. We will definitely help the Ukrainian people to get rid of a regime that is completely anti-people and anti-historical. Why it matters? Since its invasion in 2014, Russia has considered every government in Ukraine to be anti-people, whether Poroshenko's presidency or Zelensky's. The Kremlin tells its own people that it was not that the Ukrainians elected both presidents, but that the people are supposedly suffering under the Kiev regimes. Opinion polls indicate that as of early March, 93% of Ukrainians supported Zelensky's action." Well, okay. If you remember, maybe 99% of people agreed with the Pope when Galileo Galilei came forward and said, it's not the universe that revolves around the Earth or the Sun. It's just that the sun revolves around, the earth revolves around the sun. So for that he was, I think, house arrest for 10 years or something. So he came with a very unpopular idea, which was, the earth goes around the sun and not the sun goes around the earth. And he was banned. He was, Giordano Bruno and others were not as lucky as this guy. So this thing with 93% support Zelensky doesn't mean that the 90% know what they're talking about. I'm not calling them stupid, because there are so many forces at play, like the United States as well, that are bombarding us with information, disinformation, misinformation, and so on, by information, by, you know, keeping information away. You know, you don't have to tell all the information about an event, withdrawing information, which would be a good way of lying. So nevertheless, I think that Lavrov is talking about the people in charge of Ukraine, besides being the fact that, you know, I refuse to call Zelensky the Ukrainian president, and I call him the president of Ukraine for certain reasons, personal preference, I guess. And then I do not think, and I'm an outsider, way outside of what's going on over there, I strongly think that Zelensky is not his own man. I think he is really, really supported and kept in place and kept alive by certain forces outside of his country. I think that that was my bad. The Ukrainians are used, the nation and its history, by these guys, which I would say, state that it's Zelensky, Zhmihal, another Ukrainian in control of the Ukrainians, with their handlers from abroad, which, believe me, they care less about the Ukrainians. They have their own interest, and the Ukrainians happen to be guided into this proxy war. And they have the right people that they made sure they are over there and supported in order to get the Ukrainian nation, which I said many times before, Ukrainian nation, Ukrainian people, their traditions, their country, their history is going to be destroyed by this clique of outsiders. It doesn't mean that all this couldn't have been done by Ukrainians themselves, because like in any nation, you have certain traitors, and those traitors will do anything for power, money, and everything that comes with it. So I saw that in Romania, and not only that. Romania was a clear example after 1989, what happened over there. But it's not hard to look at how things work and realize this is the way things actually work. Look at the mass media, how mass media portrays certain individuals. They can make them heroes overnight, or they can make villains overnight. And then again, gets me where I first got that from, and it was, I think I was about 17 when I read this book, 18, 17. It just came into my house after 1989, after we were allowed to have books, certain kind of books. So I know my family read it, and I thought, okay, we'll read it at 17, 18. I read it more than one time, but nevertheless, I read it, and I remember that this is something that just stuck in my brain, my memory, where this guy said, this book was written in the 1920s. This guy said, I saw that, he was talking about Vienna. And he said that I saw how the newspaper was working over there, the freedom of the press, or these guys are talking about. They can make a non-important issue as the most important and stringent issue of the state, or an important issue of the state disappear. Or the same person said, I saw people who were average people, mediocrities, pushed forward by the mass media, by the newspapers in those times, as the most important and knowledgeable people, and people of really of value, intellectual value, dropped down and destroyed like pigs in a week. So I said, this is the power of mass media that I saw then. And there's the same thing here. They can make Zelensky the greatest general in the world and whatever they want to make him. Well, we can always have our own assessment of that based on our intelligence and knowledge. Or they can make, the best general being the little inferiority complex general because they don't like him, let's say Napoleon or something. They can do this. And it's not only the mass media, it's the historians and the interest and the politics and the ideology when it gets, you know, in between of this. So you can't ask questions about certain events, or you can ask questions about certain events, but you can't ask about ones. You can, you know, history is a changing science, because it's always, you know, a topic. You can get more information on topics, and then that can change the outcome of whatever conclusion you reached 20 years ago. But there are certain subjects, not many, maybe one or two, that you cannot accept any more information on that. Nothing, because they will change the outcome of the conclusion. So nevertheless, talking about Lavrov, obviously he says this because he's got an interest to say it, and he says it, and I think that he has a point, very valid point, regarding Ukraine being used like a whore. Now, Lavrov doesn't say that because he got a big heart, I'm guessing. It's because now he has to deal with these guys that are closer to him than the guys who handle the proxy war and the guys that are used. But nevertheless, this is it. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.